Hello, hi everyone. Welcome back to Woo Can Cook. My name is Wesley, and this is a show where we are slowly cooking our way through all of the food from my childhood. Today we're diving back into our series dedicated to reproducing foods from our 8-day trip traveling through Taipei, Taiwan, with a look at the absolutely just insane and bizarre pizzas that we came across in Taipei. More specifically, today we'll be taking our best shot at reproducing this spicy pork bulgogi stuffed crust pizza found at Pizza Hut in Taiwan, featuring, as you might guess, a stuffed crust pizza topped with Korean spicy pork and kimchi. Those following along with this channel will likely know that we have of course already done a few different versions of bulgogi in the last few months, which should give us a pretty decent head start on this monstrosity of a pizza already. For those unfamiliar though, Korean spicy pork is best known as a Korean barbecue staple, featuring a thinly sliced pork shoulder or loin that has been marinated and grilled in the Korean fermented chili paste known as gochujang, giving it its distinctly bright red color. Perhaps equally, if not more important to this dish though, is the inclusion of grated Asian pear in the marinade, which gives the dish a distinct form of sweetness that is absolutely iconic to any form of bulgogi. Finally, to round all of this off for our pizza crust today, we'll also be taking a look at my personal favorite sheet pan pizza recipe in lieu of the more commonly found pizza stone crust, because in my experience, any pizza made without either a pizza oven or a pizza stone is always going to fall short, and I own neither of those things. So, let's make something that actually works in our own home kitchen. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so diving right in, we're kicking things off here first with our pizza dough, since this will need a pretty long proofing time today. I'm going with an adaptation of the Bon Appetit sheet pan pizza crust today, which has always produced the best results for me for homemade pizzas without a pizza oven or stone. Is it the same thing as making a pizza in a pizza oven? No, of course not. But failing specialized equipment, this is my favorite option. So I've got my stand mixer bowl out here, then I'm combining a single packet of dry active yeast with 1 3/4 cup of warm but not hot water, along with the sole adjustment that I'm making to this recipe, which is just a half tablespoon of white sugar. I've personally found that this helps the activation of the yeast along by giving it something extra to feed on. We're proofing this for 10 minutes until bubbles begin to form, then adding in a total of 4 cups of AP flour, which we're adding about 1 cup at a time to allow it to gradually incorporate. At this point, you may observe why I never put things like the stand mixer or the food processor on camera, because it simply just doesn't fit in frame. That's it. So, using a bit of camera magic instead, we can observe how our dough progresses. Now, once it reaches this shaggy state like so, we'll want to add in a hefty pinch of kosher salt and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I forgot to do this, so I ended up adding both of these at the very end, resulting in a little bit more trouble getting that oil to incorporate properly with the stand mixer, so I ended up doing a little bit of kneading by hand. In any case, once this is fully incorporated, I'm covering this in plastic wrap, then proofing in the oven with the oven light on for what should be 24 hours according to the BA recipe. Now, I've actually made this dough many times now, and I can tell you that it is not only sufficiently proofed after just 2 to 4 hours, but I actually think that this is when it's at its peaked proofed state. Any longer than 4 hours, and I personally have found that it starts to overproof in my opinion. Moving on to our marinade next, as I mentioned earlier, the key ingredient to any bulgogi is always going to be this Asian pear, or sometimes referred to as an apple pear. I personally have found that these are pretty easy to source. You can find them pretty much anywhere in Chinatown, or I actually found these ones at the Target grocery section, but failing that, I've found that a standard pear is the next best thing. In any case, I'm peeling my apple pear, then removing the core and grating it into my largest mixing bowl, then followed by some aromatic veggies next. This today is going to be 4 cloves of crushed and minced garlic to start, followed by 1 inch or about 1 tablespoon of fine minced ginger. Next up, this is half of a medium white onion, which we're slicing into strips. I like doing this by separating the layers out 2 at a time or so, which helps us get more even slices. Next up, rounding out our marinade today, this is going to be 4 tablespoons or 1/4 cup of soy sauce here to start, followed by 2 tablespoons of Japanese rice wine or mirin, a single tablespoon of fish sauce, and 2 tablespoons of brown sugar for some malted sweetness. Finally, as promised, we're rounding this all off with 3 tablespoons of Korean gochujang chili paste, and if you have it, a single tablespoon of gochugaru or Korean chili flake would also be ideal here as well. To be absolutely honest, I totally forgot that I used all of mine to make kimchi a few weeks back, so we're omitting this for our pizza today, which should still be fine. Next up, I'm setting my marinade aside for a moment and slicing up a single pound of pork loin today. We're going for super thin slices of pork, so to aid in this, I've left my pork loin still fairly frozen out of the defrost, which will make slicing it a little bit easier. Finally, I'm mixing this all up to combine, then setting aside to marinate for 30 minutes or up to 1 hour. Over on the stove, I have my wok heating up at medium heat today, then I'm adding in 4 tablespoons of peanut oil and, as always, long yao for that nice non-stick surface. Then next, here's my pork going in. We're adding this in batches and being very careful not to overload the wok today. This took me 3 batches altogether for me personally. I'm spreading my pork evenly across the wok, then letting this sear for 2.5 minutes undisturbed before tossing with the wok tilted downward for some nice wok hei. Those following along with this channel will likely know that wok hei is my personal favorite method of reproducing the smokiness that comes from outdoor grilling without, an outdoor grill. Back over on the cutting board, I'm grating up 8 ounces or half a pound of low moisture mozzarella here, paired with the secret ingredient to any stuffed crust pizza, which is cheese sticks, like string cheese from Recess. Yeah, that's how they make stuffed crust. I've got a rimmed half sheet here that I'm liberally oiling with olive oil. Then here's my now proofed dough that I'm punching the air out of before adding to my sheet tray. I'm gently massaging the dough with my fingertips, being careful not to rush or push down too hard, or we'll poke a hole in the dough like that. Don't do that. Be patient here and take your time. It may not seem like it, but as long as you've got a properly proofed dough, it will eventually submit to your will. Here's our cheese sticks going around the crust for our stuffed crust. Then I'm adding my spicy pork on top, making sure to get as much of that marinade onto the pie as possible too. Then we're rounding this all off with some kimchi, followed finally by our shredded mozzarella, and we're popping this into an oven that has been preheated as hot as you possibly can get it. Mine today maxed out at 525 degrees F, which took about 15 minutes, but if your oven reaches a higher temp, absolutely do that. Finally, we're pulling our pie out of the oven, and most importantly, we're letting this rest for a full 15 minutes before slicing this up, and we're ready to eat. Okay, so first off, I'll start by mentioning that those that have been following along with this series and have seen our Taiwan vlog that I made for this trip will know that when we ordered this pizza from Pizza Hut, it was after a 15-hour day of hiking through Taroko Gorge, which is to say, I was very, very tired when I ate that pizza. So, my memory of it is actually a little bit foggy, but what I do recall is that we initially set out to order just a normal pepperoni pizza, but I actually couldn't find one on the menu, so we ended up ordering this, and honestly, it was the right choice. I know fusion pizzas are totally a food fad that came and went in 2014, but I gotta say, if there is one weird and quirky pizza that I could add to my Pizza Hut order, this would probably be the one. It just, makes sense. But then again, I'm also a stan of the Hawaiian pineapple pizza too, so I don't know. In any case, our pork is naturally saucy and tender from our gochujang and pear marinade, and doesn't require a pizza sauce at all, as you may have noticed, making for the most perfectly sweet, spicy, and umami-packed pie that you could possibly want. Then our kimchi adds a nice briny and crunchy textural addition that pairs nicely with our sliced onion, covered in melted cheese on top of a sheet pan pizza. What more could you possibly want from me, y'all? Finally, the last bit that I'll reiterate is that I have done a lot of pizza at home, and I will stand by my decision to go with a sheet pan pizza here. If you're like me and you're just incredibly done with making soggy pizzas at home in an underheated oven, then this is absolutely the best pizza crust solution for your next pizza night. Okay, so that's it everyone. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you give this one a shot. For those who missed it, this video is part of a larger series dedicated to reproducing foods that I came across during our time traveling through Taiwan, so definitely check out that 2-part series next if you haven't yet too. For the Bay Area locals, come find the Wu Can Cook fried rice pop-up at the West Oakland Farmers Market every Sunday, literally in front of the food hall where we'll be opening our very first brick and mortar later this year. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share, be nice interneters, and I'll see you soon. Bye.